7. Daily habits of highly disciplined people to achieve anything. We've all been there. You tell yourself, okay, this is the week. This is when I finally get it together. You write a to-do list that looks more like a novel, set an alarm for an ungodly hour, and promise to meditate, journal, and only eat things that grow out of the ground. And by Wednesday, you're hitting snooze for the 7th time and calling leftover pizza breakfast. This cycle, that rush of motivation followed by the inevitable fizzle, is exhausting. It can leave you feeling like you're just not one of those people. You know the ones. The people who seem to have it all together, who just effortlessly crush their goals, whose lives look like a perfectly curated highlight reel. But what if I told you it's not about having more willpower? What if they weren't born with some magical discipline gene? Many experts suggest that highly disciplined people are more consistent and better at resisting distractions, not because they're always motivated, but because they build systems that make showing up almost automatic. They don't wait to feel good to get started. They create simple, repeatable routines that lead to extraordinary results. So, I decided to put this to the test. I found 7 of the most powerful daily habits that many of the world's most successful and disciplined people seem to share. And for the next 7 days, I'm not just going to talk about them. I'm going to live them. I'm taking on a 1-week challenge to see if these habits can genuinely reshape my focus and productivity. You'll see it all, the good, the bad, and the painfully early mornings. Join me and let's find out if these strategies can actually help me hit my goals, or if I crash and burn. The setup. Before we dive in, let's set the stakes. My goals for this week are simple but feel pretty huge to me. First, I have to complete the first draft of a major project I've been putting off for weeks. Second, I want to finally build a consistent workout routine, which has felt impossible for me in the past. And third, I need to cut my screen time, especially the mindless scrolling, by at least half. These are the mountains I need to move. To do this, I'm adopting 7 specific habits, building on them day by day. These aren't just random tips. They are practical strategies inspired by principles of behavioral science and used by top performers. The 7 habits are: define your top 3 wins and success criteria. Time block your deep work and guard your boundaries. Do the hardest thing first. Track your habits and don't break the chain. Design your environment to win. Use identity-based habits with no negotiations. Embrace a recovery rhythm and a shutdown ritual. I'm nervous, a little skeptical, but honestly, I'm ready for a change. So, let's get started. Day 1. Habit 1. Define today's top 3 and success criteria. The first habit is all about finding clarity in the chaos. Instead of staring at a massive, overwhelming list of tasks, the goal is to define, first thing in the morning, the 3 most important things you need to accomplish. This isn't just a to-do list. It's about identifying your biggest wins. Then, you anchor it all with a single sentence. Today will be a success if... Waking up on Monday, the weight of the week already felt heavy. The project, the workouts, the endless emails. It was a lot. But instead of just diving in, I sat down with a simple index card. I forced myself to answer the question, what 3 things will actually move the needle today? My top 3 were: outline the entire project, complete a 30-minute run, clear out all urgent emails from last week. Then, for the success criteria, I wrote, today will be a success if I end the day with a clear project roadmap and feel the physical buzz of a good run. Honestly, it felt almost too simple. How could writing on a little card change anything? But the effect was immediate. My brain, which usually feels like a browser with 50 tabs open, suddenly had a clear focus. Throughout the day, whenever I felt myself drifting toward a distraction, I'd just glance at the card. It was my compass. It didn't make the work any easier, but it made the path clearer. It stops that reactive, frantic scramble that so often takes over our days. Disciplined people tend to decide their priorities before the day pulls them in a million directions, and for the first time, I felt like I was in control. By the end of day 1, I had a complete outline for my project. I went for that run, even though it was a struggle, and I felt a sense of calm accomplishment I hadn't felt in a long time. Maybe there's something to this after all. Day 2. Habit 2. Time block your deep work plus boundaries. Building on day 1's clarity, the second habit is about protecting your time like a fortress. This is built on the concept of deep work, an idea popularized by author Cal Newport. You schedule 1 or 2 uninterrupted blocks of time, maybe 60 to 90 minutes, specifically for your most demanding tasks. You treat these blocks like unbreakable appointments. On Tuesday, after setting my top 3, I opened my calendar. I blocked out a 90-minute session from 9:00 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. and another from 2:00 p.m. to 3:30 p.m., labeling them deep work, project writing. I put my phone in another room, turned off all notifications, and closed my email. The first 15 minutes were torture. My brain was screaming for a distraction. I had a sudden urge to check the weather, look up a random fact, or organize my desktop files, anything but the actual work. This is the resistance. But because I had it scheduled, I felt a real commitment to see it through. Disciplined people often live by deadlines, even self-imposed ones. This structure creates the container for focus to actually happen. It wasn't about waiting for motivation. It was about creating a routine that defended my attention. During that first 90-minute block, I wrote more than I had in the entire week before. The quality of my focus was on another level. The afternoon block was harder. Life tried to butt in. A non-urgent notification popped up. A friend sent a text. But that block in my calendar was a visual reminder of the promise I made to myself. I ignored them. I was learning that discipline isn't about having superhuman willpower, but about setting firm boundaries so you don't have to use it as much. Day 3. Habit 3. Do the hard thing first. This principle, often called eat that frog, it's two from the book by Brian Tracy, is as brutal as it is effective. The idea is to tackle your most difficult, most dreaded task first, preferably during your peak energy hours. Getting it done creates a wave of momentum that carries you through the rest of the day. My frog for Wednesday was a super complex section of my project that required a lot of research and intense focus. It was the part I had been actively avoiding. I woke up dreading it. My mind immediately started making excuses. Maybe I should warm up with some emails first. I definitely need more coffee before I can even think about this. But the challenge demanded I follow the rule. So, at 9:00 a.m., I opened the document. The internal resistance was huge. It felt like trying to push a car uphill. To get past it, I used a little trick. I told myself I didn't have to finish it. I just had to work on it for 5 minutes. Just 5. Anyone can do 5 minutes. So I started. I wrote one clunky sentence, then another, and a funny thing happened. After about 10 minutes, the friction started to fade. The task was still hard, but the pain of starting was gone. I got into a state of flow, and by the end of my 90-minute block, I had finished the entire section. The feeling was euphoric. It was only 10:30 a.m., and I had already slain the biggest dragon of the day. Everything else felt lighter by comparison. This was a revelation. It seems disciplined people understand that our best energy is a precious resource. By spending it on what matters most, they guarantee they make progress, no matter what the rest of the day throws at them. Day 4. Habit 4. Habit tracking, and don't break the chain. Discipline loves proof. This next habit, a simple tracking method popularized in productivity circles and often attributed to comedian Jerry Seinfeld, is about creating a visual record of your progress. You get a calendar, and for each day you complete a key habit, you draw a big X. The goal is simple: don't break the chain. By Thursday, I was juggling 4 new habits, and it was getting complicated. I needed a way to keep myself honest. I took a big wall calendar and wrote down my 3 main goals for the week: project writing, workout, and no mindless scrolling. That day, after I finished my deep work and my run, I walked over to the calendar and drew a big, satisfying X through the box for each one. It was a surprisingly powerful feeling. It wasn't just a task I'd checked off. It was evidence. It was a vote for the new identity I was trying to build. That visual chain creates a strange and powerful sense of accountability. As the X's started to line up, a new motivation kicked in, the fear of leaving a blank square. I didn't want to be the one to break the streak. This simple system turns discipline into a game. It taps into our brain's natural desire for completion and consistency. Highly disciplined people know that consistency beats intensity every time. The habit tracker makes that real. It's not about being perfect every single day, but about showing up enough to keep the chain alive. Day 5. Habit 5. Design your environment and eliminate temptations. This habit is based on a powerful truth. Your environment powerfully shapes your actions. The most disciplined people don't necessarily have more willpower. They just design their worlds to make good habits easier and bad habits harder. They focus on avoiding temptation in the first place, not constantly fighting it. On Friday, I did a full environment audit. My biggest weakness is my phone. It's the black hole where my focus goes to die. So, during my deep work blocks, I started physically moving it to another room. Out of sight, truly out of mind. The tiny bit of friction of having to get up and walk into another room was enough to kill the impulse to check it. I redesigned my desk, putting my journal and a book front and center, and clearing away all the clutter. To encourage my workout habit, I started laying out my gym clothes the night before. When I woke up, they were the first thing I saw, a perfect visual cue for the action I needed to take. This is all about reducing the number of decisions you have to make. When your environment is set up for success, the right choice becomes the easy choice. You don't have to decide to work out when your clothes are already waiting for you. You don't have to decide not to check your phone when it's not even there. This was maybe the biggest game changer of the week. It showed me that discipline is less about a constant internal battle and more about smart external design. By controlling my environment, I was guiding my own behavior. Day 6. Habit 6. Identity-based commitment and no negotiations. This habit goes deeper than what you do and focuses on who you are. Instead of saying, "I'm going to try to write today," you shift your mindset to, "I am a writer." This isn't just a word game, it's a profound psychological shift. You start acting from your identity, not from a fleeting feeling. And with this identity comes a powerful rule: no negotiations. Saturday was the day this got real. I woke up tired, sore, and completely out of motivation. My brain immediately started negotiating. "You've worked so hard all week. You deserve a break. Just skip the workout today. You can always write twice as much tomorrow. This is the siren song of procrastination, but I had committed to this habit, so I shut the negotiation down. I told myself, I am the kind of person who keeps promises to myself. I am a disciplined person, and disciplined people work out, even when they don't feel like it. I didn't argue with myself. I didn't try to manufacture motivation. I just put on my running shoes and went out the door. It was an awful run. I was slow, and every step was a struggle, but I did it, and that was the victory. This no negotiations rule is a cornerstone for many disciplined people. They don't let their mood of the moment derail their long-term goals. They pre-decide what the rules are, and they stick to them. This isn't about being cruel to yourself. It's about training your brain that some decisions are simply not up for debate. It was about choosing my commitments over my comfort. Day 7, Habit 7, Recovery, Rhythm, Sleep, Movement, and a shutdown ritual. The final habit is the one we all tend to forget. Discipline isn't about grinding yourself into dust. It's a marathon, not a sprint. To be consistent for the long haul, you have to prioritize recovery. The most disciplined people protect their self-care routines fiercely because they know that rest is what fuels performance. This means aiming for consistent sleep, getting daily movement, and crucially, having an end-of-day shutdown ritual. On Sunday, I focused on this. I'd been moving all week, but today I perfected the shutdown. About 30 minutes before I planned to stop working, I started my ritual. First, I reviewed my progress. I looked at the project draft, my completed workouts, and my lower screen time report. I took a moment to acknowledge the wins. Then, I planned my top 3 for Monday. This step is so important because it closes all those open loops in your brain that can cause stress in the evening. It tells your brain, everything is captured and has a plan, you can relax now. Finally, I tidied my workspace, creating a clean slate for the next day. This ritual was a game changer. It created a clear, firm boundary between work, life, and personal life. Instead of just letting my workday trail off, feeling like I should still be doing something, I had a definitive end. It gave me a sense of closure and peace that's usually missing. Prioritizing sleep was also key. Consistent rest isn't a luxury. It's the foundation for willpower, emotional regulation, and focus. By the end of Sunday, I didn't feel burnt out. I felt tired, sure, but also restored and genuinely ready for the week ahead. The climax, turning point. The real turning point hit me on Friday, day 5. I had a major setback. A section of my project I thought was almost done turned out to have a huge flaw, and I had to scrap hours of work. The old me would have seen this as a catastrophe. It would have been the perfect excuse to give up, binge-watch a show, and write the whole day off as a failure. The frustration was overwhelming. I could feel myself starting to spiral. But then, like a safety net, the systems I had been building all week kicked in. My phone was in another room, environment design. My calendar showed another deep work block scheduled for the afternoon, time blocking. My wall chart had an unbroken chain of X's that I refused to ruin, habit tracking. And a little voice in my head, the voice of my new identity, said, I'm the kind of person who handles setbacks and keeps going. Identity-based commitment. Instead of quitting, I took a short walk, came back, and applied the do the hard thing first principle to the rewrite. I broke the horrible task down into tiny pieces and just started. It was in that moment of near failure where all the habits came together to save me from myself that I really got it. Discipline isn't about being perfect or avoiding failure. It's about building a system that makes you resilient when you fail, It catches you and helps you get back on track, even on your worst days. The results. Reflection. Conclusion. So, after 1 week, did I hit my goals? Let's take a look. I needed to finish the first draft of my project. And I did. It's not perfect, but it's done, which is a massive leap from where I was. I wanted a consistent workout routine. I worked out 6 out of 7 days, a huge win for me, and I wanted to cut my screen time. My phone reported a 62% drop in mindless scrolling, but the real results go beyond the numbers. The biggest takeaway for me is this: discipline is not about being a robot or living a miserable life of self-denial. In fact, many studies show a link between people with high self-control and greater happiness. It's about creating freedom. It's building a structure that frees you from the tyranny of your own moods. These 7 habits, prioritizing your day, time blocking, doing the hard thing first, tracking your progress, designing your environment, acting from identity, and protecting your recovery, they aren't 7 separate things. They are 7 links in the same chain. Each one makes the others stronger. Discipline isn't about short bursts of intensity. It's about long-term consistency. It's about the boring, small, repeated actions that compound over time into the life you've been wanting. It's not about waiting to feel motivated. It's about starting and letting the action create the motivation. If I can do this, I promise you, you can too. You don't have to try all 7 habits at once. That would be completely overwhelming. But I want to issue you a small challenge. Pick just one of these habits. Just one. Maybe it's defining your top 3 wins each morning. Or maybe it's just moving your phone to another room when you need to focus. Try it for 1 week. Let me know in the comments which habit you are going to choose, and one distraction you're going to eliminate this week. Let's keep each other accountable.